Good morning, listeners. I'm Pastor Mose, full of St. Timothy Baptist Church, and also a board member of Columbia Savings and Loan Association. I am sitting in for Attorney Core Players on Money Talks, and I have a guest with me today, my good friend, Pastor Greg Lewis. He's the president of Pastors United and also the executive director of Souls to the Polls. How you doing, Pastor?
I'm good.
Man, it's nice to have you with me today, man.
Amen.
Boy, you're
Glad
looking
to
awful
be here.
sharp today, man.
Huh?
Why are you looking so sharp?
I got a meeting, man.
You got a meeting, man. Run out. You see how you looking?
Yeah.
Man, clean as a whistle.
I got a meeting, man.
Look at that nice cross. Man, his cross is showing my cross.
Shining over there.
Yeah, he's shining over
He
there,
got
man.
diamonds on his cross. I ain't got no diamonds.
Yeah, well, Pastor, it's good to have you today. And as I said, listeners, I'm sitting in for Core Players. I think that she told me that she had to go to a funeral today, so we're going to keep her in prayer and going to keep the bereaved families in prayer also. Brother Rideout, how's things going with you today? Good?
Man, I am blessed.
Good. You got that shoulder's doing better.
Yeah, man, I can move
You
that.
can move, boy.
Yeah. Man, I was stiff last week. I couldn't.
Yeah, I hear you. I think Debo
What
told you.
did you do?
Man, listen, man. I don't know where they got these peas from that was in the back in the freezer, but it was some peas that was in there that was cold. I took the peas, wrapped it up, put it on my shoulder.
Really?
Yeah, Doc, it took the swelling out.
Well,
Wow.
Yeah.
it worked, huh?
Some peas.
That's old down home remedy or
Nah,
something?
man, I think it was just the cold.
Oh, okay.
It was just
It was
from the
ice.
freezer burn from the pea.
Okay, I got you now.
Amen. And we have another young man over here. Told me your name is again Byron. Brother Byron, how you doing today, Brother Byron?
I'm excellent.
Praise God for Byron, Pastor. So, Pastor, we are going to get started. We're talking about, we're going to talk about some things as it relates to the Columbia Savings and Loan Bank. They're the sponsor of the show, and we know that, as we say every time we come on the show, that it's important that the community, and I know that you're a big advocate of that. I know that you are, man.
I got my mortgage with Columbia.
Columbia Savings.
Yeah.
But mainly what I'm saying is you're an advocate of, really supporting black businesses.
Yeah.
We were talking about that a little bit yesterday, and you say, your money could do a little better someplace else, but
we got to start somewhere.
So it's important for us as people to understand how important it is.
Yeah, it's worth the difference.
To really get behind black business.
Right.
It's especially, man, when we look at the mentality, the mindset of our country right now. And with the type of leadership that we have in our country, on the national level, and also on the state level, and we put it set on the local level. We got some folks on local level seem to have our back, but then at the state, thank God that we're able to do some things at the state level to kind of like equalize things and kind of like make it workable.
I just we got some good leaders. Mm-hmm. That young Kalen Haywood, man.
Yeah.
That young fella, man, he's a go-getter, man. He's smart, intelligent, and he cares.
See, and that's the thing.
And he's a very young, sophisticated brother, man. I think he's got a bright future.
I remember when Kalen.
Yeah.
I remember when he first ran.
Maybe even in the country,
18,
man.
About something like that.
Yeah.
He was the youngest one with it.
Right.
And man, to keep your nose clean and just
we're
continue to learn.
Oh yeah.
And continue to move.
We're proud of him.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we are proud of him.
Yeah.
Trust me. And we just got to build on that, and then we got to support the other leaders because, I keep telling folks we 40%, I think maybe 42, 43% because, with the census, everybody don't give information. A lot of people, especially people of color, they don't want to be giving you information, that's personal to them.
Yeah. And
the census is all kind of personal information. And so we over 40% of the city, and the Hispanic community is over 18% of the city. That's like, 60% of the city
right there.
And then I ain't even talking about the Asian community, the Indian community,
mm-hmm.
The other communities of color. and you know, we just don't support our candidates like we should, and then we expect them to put forth effort and stick their necks out to lose their jobs if we don't support them, and then we say, man, our folks, man, we got all these people in power, they ain't doing nothing. Well, if you support them, they would have the strength to do something.
Hold them accountable.
Yeah, I mean, well, hold them accountable too. We don't even do that.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like if you hold them accountable and really get out there and let them know, so look, man, I got your back, I'm behind you, but
but we need something.
Yeah,
you got to do something for us, man,
exactly.
because we need so much. Man, you got to start somewhere doing something. But we do have people in place. We just got to learn how to work together.
Man, don't we have? I remember a few years ago, man, when everything downtown, man, they might have had one or two blacks somewhere down there. But you look at us right now, man, we really do have some folks in place.
No, we got things in place.
And we politically speaking. And actually, another seats that could really go black if we would just get on out there and vote.
Right.
Downtown could really be, could be that could be a black alderman. I think what is the downtown is what, the 4th aldermanic district, I believe.
I'm not sure.
Bauman has been down there for over 20 years.
Yeah, Bauman. Yeah.
So that his district could be of somebody really put in the work and put in the footwork on the ground. They could get that district.
So we really have to be as sophisticated as we are. We don't really stretch out like that, man. We got a lot of brainy people, man. We just don't stretch out like that because we have to be up against so much all the time. And and some of us are just so angry, man. We don't even want to deal with folks who don't treat us right. But you got to outthink them.
That's what you gotta do.
You can't just,
gotta be angry.
You just can't just let it happen.
Can't be angry.
Man, that's why I said we got to be 10 times better. My mother told me that when I was little. She said, I went to Samuel Moore's. It was for the gifted and talented. And I came home one day. I said, Mama, I don't want to go there no more.
Yeah.
I mean, I ain't no leader. They don't let me do nothing. I couldn't even have a little girlfriend. They was all white too. And she said, you going.
You going. And that wasn't an option, was it?
And you got to be 10 times better. That's what she told me.
Yeah.
I thought that was so unfair when she said that to me. But she was saying that not because it was true, but because I was capable of being 10 times better. Because we always talk about being equal. No, I don't want to be equal. Yeah. I want to be 10 times better. Because equal ain't done nothing for us. We get to be equal. We still in the back seat on the bus.
You got to be better, don't you?
You got to be better, man. You got to be so they can't resist your talent. We need you. And that kind of thinking will get us a lot further ahead than we are right now because we're capable of just what I just talked about. Black folks are really intelligent and really strong-minded. And when we set our minds to doing something, we do it. Whatever we set our minds to, we do it, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
We set our minds to something, it's getting done.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you that.
What you said, black folks are capable of doing just about anything they want to do.
Man, are you kidding me? Man.
And, and that reminds me, man, we talking about Columbia, it's Columbia Savings and Loan, the only black bank in the city of Milwaukee, the state of Wisconsin, the only black bank north of Chicago. I don't know if they got any in Minnesota or not.
And that's sad.
It is. All of these black folks you got. And just think about what those people did, man. When you look at what they did 100 years ago, 100 years strong, they had a couple of a black couple from the South. They got their education back in the 20s, before the 20s, and relocated to a place like Milwaukee, man, that has a dogmatic, really stringent, type of redlining and discriminatory practices that if you was a certain color, you just wasn't going to have access to money. You wasn't going to have access to resources. You wasn't going to have access to anything that was going to lift you above, where you were. And these people came to town and with progressive and forward thinking and with visionary thinking, Pastor, in the 20s. Can you
Wow.
imagine how hard it was to do anything?
Man, that's incredible.
And then you had to, not only that, the city was so dogmatic in its segregation practices that if you was black in the town of Milwaukee, you had to live in a certain area, period.
Right. You could. Well, when I was growing up, in certain
You know,
lines, we
think
couldn't
about that
cross.
for a minute. You could even go, and that was kind of like downtown on Juneau Avenue.
Yeah, and then you could probably go. When I was young, you could go like North Avenue, and then a little further, maybe to Walnut, and then 35th Street was about the limit on that one.
Yeah,
30, because the joke store was on 35th Street. That's where we get all the comic books and all that. We used to walk there, but that was about the limit. You wasn't going too far out there.
You wasn't coming north.
No.
And I think that's what, when you look at the back in the 50s, when Daniel Bell was shot by the cops in the 50s, he was over on 8th and North Avenue. He was too far north of he was too far north.
8th and North Avenue?
No, it's about 8th and right. So,
Wow.
Walnut Street was really back in that time, Walnut Street was kind of like, it's kind of black folk were situated from Juneau Avenue coming up downtown where Hillside is in Juneau, and they came up to Walnut Street. That was the big, fairway for blacks. And
I
a little further, maybe, but North Avenue, man, 8th and right, on 6th or 8th and right, you was a long way.
Yeah, because I
north.
think I used to go to the barbershop on Walnut.
Everything was up on Walnut.
Yeah, that's where I used to go.
And so these
people,
people,
man, I was like 3 or 4 or something like that.
And so these people came to town, Doc, and they decided that they was going to start a bank. They looked at the situation. That's what we got to do today, because that's what everything, the national politics and sometimes the state politics and a lot of the national politics, a lot of time reflect state politics. How the legislatures are doing, like in our state, which is supposed to be.
We should support that bank, really.
Yeah.
Because first of all, I told you we got our mortgage there, and we could have went other places, but I said, I talked to my wife. I said, baby, we're gonna get our mortgage here.
Yeah.
We're gonna support this situation, and we do houses, and we used to have to do houses.
You done a lot of the houses
with no money until Columbia blessed us with loans to rehab houses. Make homeowners. We got a house right now that we're about to put a homeowner in, and
this is a nice place.
It's a nice place. So that's what we do. Make a nice place so it can be a nice family, strong neighborhood, that kind of thing. We've done like 60-something houses with hardly any money, man.
Man, that's a lot of houses.
That's a lot of.
So how you're doing
it ain't
houses.
much for it, but
66 houses on any level. And 66 houses on any level
and
that you had to go in there and rehab and fix up.
It's been kind of quiet.
Yeah.
And the last 3 or 4 of them have been financed by Columbia. But before that, we was doing some real tricky financing.
and they didn't like it. What you was getting
like it.
You was getting the work done, but they didn't like it.
They didn't like it.
We got a caller. Go ahead, caller.
Hello.
How you doing, Doc?
Not as well as you, sight unseen.
Oh.
I have been wanting to talk about the subject that you're talking about. Earlier, the other lady, what's her name? The one you're replacing today.
Oh, Cora. So
she was saying she was saying blacks should bring their money over and put in a savings. And I have this idea, and I know y'all should follow through on this. Get people who have mortgages already to move their mortgages over there and give them a better deal. And then they should get a HELOC on the home they own for 80% of the equity.
Right.
Don't use it until you have to. And in place of a reverse mortgage, which is a stupid, very extra stupid thing, you can live in your house and do whatever you need to do out of your house. In other words, your house is your bank.
Right.
And that's about all I have to say. But people need to move their mortgages over to Columbia and Columbia should offer them something better than they have.
Amen.
And you know that makes sense. I tell you what, man, have you it's a great idea of thinking outside of the box. I mean, it would be worth coming down to the bank and putting those issues on the table
Right.
and seeing what happened.
Right.
I mean, that's the type of thinking that we're really looking for. You know,
And
people like to call it what you talking about.
Before. I have tried to present this before, and I had a mortgage at Columbia some years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a mortgage I couldn't get somewhere else.
Right.
But then when I was able to move,
Right.
when I could move it, then I moved it.
Right.
I'll give you one thing: Educators Credit Union, the way they do mortgages is non-traditional. And when you do a traditional mortgage, they give you 30 years, and usually it's 30 years because the monthly payment is lower.
Yeah.
But if you do Educators Credit Union, the way they compute mortgages, they take the interest off first, and the balance goes on to principal. So educators, if you made 3 mortgage payments, the first payment would pay the interest, and the balance would go on the principal. If you made 3 payments, the next 2 payments would go on the interest, and that would accelerate your mortgage. And I was very, very happy to explain this all to anybody. And we should have a class, and our players have said she wanted me to talk to somebody there, but it hasn't happened yet. And I would be happy to do it. And my purpose would be to show other people how to teach this thing to other people. And y'all have a good one.
Okay,
Amen.
thank you.
But he kind of, you know how we used to do it. We used to help people with their credit.
Mm-hmm.
We help you with your credit. We get your credit up. Then you get a credit card.
Right.
Then we go to the city and get the house.
Right.
We get the house for,
right.
as a.
Well, you have to be creative.
No, we was getting the house because we were nonprofit.
Right.
And then we take the house, and then who want to do this with this house?
Right.
Your credit is good. We can get you some credit. So we take the credit card and rehab the house. And that credit card, be 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 on that credit card, we're doing the house. But the house is worth $150,000.
You can sell it.
So the house is worth $150,000 when you get finished rehabbing it.
Right.
You could get 80%. He was just talking about the 80% that you could, that the bank would give you because your home was worth 150. 80% of 150 is what you could get. You pay off the credit card, the 50,000, and you still had about, $20, $30, $40,000 that you could just put in the bank, and you got $40,000 in your bank account, and you got a mortgage that's probably with a $150,000 house. The mortgage probably about $750, something like that, and then plus, insurance and the taxes. So you probably got a mortgage that's probably about $1,000, but you got $40,000 in the bank. You paid off your credit card, and now all you need to do is pay the mortgage every month. That's how we was doing it.
Yeah.
And then, we was down at the city. They called us in. They didn't even know we had done 18 houses like that, So they called us in and they said, they was cutting us off because we didn't rehab the houses. I said, we didn't rehab the houses. We got people living in these houses. People bought these houses. We got homeowners in these houses. They didn't even know what they had, man. But they cut us off from getting houses. And we had to go down there and explain to them. And then when we explained how we did it, she said, well, you can't do it like that. I said, why
and you
not?
did 18 houses.
Because she said it wasn't secured money. I said, but man, these people made the choice because they wanted to own a home. Now, what better position could you put somebody in than to take their money, get them a house, rehab the house, and when you get finished, they got $30,000 in the
Hey,
bank.
you can't
Ain't
beat that,
nobody
man.
got $30,000 in the bank, man. Who got $30,000 in the
I bet
bank?
that lady was telling you that you couldn't do it.
Right,
Didn't have
and
no
you got
30
more,
grand.
right?
You didn't have no.
No. She calling me now, trying to find out. No,
Man.
really, I'm not kidding.
I
She
know.
calling me now, talking about help her rehab some houses. I said, no, I don't think so. I ain't,
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's kind of like what he was saying, in a way, because getting that 80% of what your house is worth is kind of like calling it refinancing. And you refinance, you get the 80%, pay off your credit, got money in the bank. That's huge, man.
Just keep on.
You got a
doing it.
new house, money in the bank. Now you can buy all new furniture, man. Buy you a car, get a job, man. You styling and profiling, and
And you own your.
And then she said that we can't do that no more. So we didn't have no way to do it. So then we had to try to borrow money and pay people back 50%, because it was personal. I go to my friends. I say, hey, man, we got these houses, man. Can you help me? She said, man, I said, man, well, if you lend me 15, man, I can give you 22.
See, and that's the very reason why the Halyards started the bank.
Right.
Because of what you're talking about, even like right now, do we have another caller? Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller. Are you there?
Yes, am I coming through? You picking me up?
Good.
Good morning.
Good. How you doing? Go ahead.
Well, good. Yeah, Tyrone Derby speaking. Good hearing. Good afternoon, late morning, early afternoon to you. Glad that you're in, Attorney Curl. Have a great day and a wonderful. I can hold over to the break then.
Okay.
I hear the music.
All right.
I hold on for you.
All right. Sounds great.
All right,
Okay.
great.
Okay, listeners, we're back. I'm Pastor Mose, Fuller of St. Timothy Baptist Church, and also a board member of Columbia Saving the Loan Association. My guest with me today is Pastor Greg Lewis. He is the president of Pastors United and executive director, Souls to the Polls. I'm sitting in for Attorney Core Players, Money Talks. Go ahead, listener.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I'm here. Well, thank you, and I appreciate you holding me over through the break. Then, again, Tyrone W. speaking. Well, you know what Dr. Ward was saying, I appreciate that. Plus, and coupled with you and the Reverend are doing. So I appreciate all that. But see, we need to connect that knowledge though, because I'll tell you, I did Habitat for Humanity. I still got hours down there that I ain't used. But you get a brand new house, you know, after you get on the waiting list, you put your hours in, and you get the house. And I'll tell you, you know, there's been redlining going on against us anyway. You know, the veteran, the VA veteran, the war veteran came back that couldn't get his GI loan and all that stuff there. So
that was a big deal too.
Right. So we need you to team up with Dr. Ward, and I'd like to sit in on some of that. But like I said, with Habitat for Humanity, you get a brand new house. In 5 years, in some instances, some people did better jobs than others. But you go back 5 years later, man, don't look like we did nothing to it. It looked like a heap of junk. I mean, you know, what did you do to it?
Yeah, and I mean, take care of this stuff, don't you?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. You're talking about increasing the value of it. Well, it's been given to you, and now it looked like the rats done took it over again. And so that's what I'm saying. We got to do a better job of what is being, you know, opportunities that come to our hands and our laps and stuff here. It's sad to see how we do property and stuff when we do get it. That, you know, Dr. Ward is absolutely right with the 80% and everything else. We got to just do a better job all the way around. But I appreciate you two, Attorney Cole, Dr. Ward, and those that are trying to move the needle in that direction, because with the redlining and everything, we couldn't even hardly get in the door.
Right.
But see, Habitat's giving you a house. Once you put your hours in, you get on the waiting list, and some of them did real well. I go down there, and a lot of them look real good. A couple of them, you know, done fell apart, though. So, but yeah, we've got to do better. But yeah, most certainly, I appreciate everything that you all are saying. It's wonderful. Have a great day, a great weekend. Enjoy the Memorial Day holiday, and I look forward to meeting you.
Wow.
Man, Monday morning. So you can sleep in on Monday. After
nobody's sleeping in.
Got the barbecue.
Get out there. I got some orders already.
Wow. All right, thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your calling. Yeah.
And it's Memorial Day.
Yeah, Monday, man.
Wow.
Yeah, it is, man. This month is really moving. You know, it's really going fast. You know, so Pastor, you know, it's you know, it's so. It's that we just have to be more proactive and progressive in our thinking, and just got to get out here and just try to do some things.
Yeah,
some things. And like you said too,
we're capable.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
It just take work. You know,
take some work.
This guy, he called me the other day. You know, he was, you know, talking about he was selling something and blah blah blah. And he said, "Man, all you got to do, man, is join up with me. You ain't got to do nothing." I said, "Well, that's probably what I'm gonna get too."
You ain't
got to do.
Bible said, "If a man don't work, he should eat. He don't eat.
I said, "Man,
if you can work and don't work, you ain't got no."
He talking about, man, I just get the names and give them to this guy, man. He gonna take care of everything. I said, "Well, okay.
Wow.
I'm gonna wait for that to happen. Let me know how that work out for you."
Gee.
No, but the point is, man, if you don't do no work, you don't get paid.
You ain't gonna get paid.
No.
Nope. You got to work.
You got to work.
You know.
And that's what we got to learn. We got to work.
You got to work.
And then we got to understand our capabilities, because, you know, we still live in a world where people believe in racism. And that's real. But people don't really understand racism. You know, racism is kind of, you know, rich folks, you know, they created that so poor folks would argue with each other. You know, racism is like a race to the resources. That's what racism is, man. It is.
You always say a race to the resources.
It's a race to the resources. And when you get all the resources, you want all the poor folks not to have any. So you start to treat them the way you treat them. Call them names. You know, you put them in position where you don't treat them right. And then you got to come up with scenarios where other people don't treat them right. And then they start calling it racism. But it was really a race to the resources. When I got all the resources, I don't want you to have any. So that means racism is really economics in the beginning, but now it's turned into color because of what's been pinned to the chest of people of color. You know, now, they, what they say, black folks lazy, black folks
and I know that's a lie.
shiftless, all that kind of stuff came because people with money didn't want you to have none, and they wanted to make sure that all their friends and neighbors kept you out of the money, and they keeping them out the money too. They just don't know it. See, it's a lot of poor white folks, man.
Whole lot of,
and that's why we ought to be working together to build up each other instead of all this fussing and fighting about, what color I am, because this 2025, that's crazy. That's nuts, man. And we still talking about you better than me because of your color. Man, you ought to know better than that. You ought to be more sophisticated than that just from being old. An older country, an older person, an older nation, an older world. You ought to be beyond that. But we've been so bamboozled, and the racism is so sophisticated that they keep everybody at the bottom fighting each other, and we never get anything. 5% of the people in the world got all the money.
Yeah.
And 95% of us is fighting over the crumbs. Man, somebody need to wake up, man. We got to stop letting people just do things to us, man. Start using our heads, especially, because we're talking about this bank now. Man, we ought to be having a plan to make this the best bank in town. We ought to be, going over there, man, this is going to be the baddest bank in town. They'll be ready to do like they did in Tulsa. This is too good.
And it can happen too.
We got to tear this up.
He got the people.
Because people don't want you to succeed. We like crabs in a barrel.
Right. They don't want you to succeed.
But that's the way it's all set up, Pastor. Really, the poor need to keep the poor poor. And that's what we do. We fight over the crumbs while somebody else is running all the way to the bank with all the money. That's why we got a few people, a few billionaires, and the rest of us are like hundredaires. We ain't got no money. And that needs to stop, because we need to stop fighting each other on a lower level, man. Because these rural people on these farms and in these rural areas, they just as broke as I am, man.
I just picked up a book, man, called it by Bishop Barber.
Yeah,
William Barber. Book I picked up is the White Poor.
Yeah,
you started. You don't have to go to Appalachia.
No, you
go right up north in the city of Milwaukee.
Right.
When I worked on the fire department, man, they have white folks that live in the inner city. A lot of white folks living in the city houses, but they hardly ever come out. Matter of fact, I live on 40th Street. That's a white guy.
Come out.
Really, to stay in the house. I'm serious. They stay in the house. I got. Look at this, man. They got a white guy that live on 40th Street across the corner.
He don't come outside.
He come out when he get ready to cut the grass.
I don't even know if I should be laughing.
I'm saying, but that's our society, man.
Man,
that's where we are. Really, man. And you think about that, and come out and cut the grass, keep the house going. When you look at the house, really, you go up and down the street, you'll see that. But that is the cultural.
That's the only time you come out.
Mentality of some of these neighborhoods.
Go to the store, don't he?
Well, he probably do. It ain't like it's like when everybody else go to the store, you got like no, they going to the store. You bring your groceries in the front door, they in the back.
See how it is. Boy, you crazy.
But really, man, but that's where we are.
No,
but that's what
right, though.
But I know I'm right. Then that's what these people did when they came into town. When they came into town and started
quite a challenge.
Oh man, it was
So that's Halyard Park with all the
Columbia did that back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Wow.
Wouldn't any other institution, wouldn't any other bank take on that project?
They wouldn't finance.
They wouldn't finance it because the neighborhood wasn't right. The people couldn't afford it. Nobody's gonna live there. But look at it now.
Right. Man, them houses worth about
$400,000-$500,000 now, man. Look nice.
Yeah.
You didn't like it. I mean, that was an ideal that should have really been put in more than just one place.
Right.
That should have been spots. Those type of houses should have been built. A lot more of those type of houses should have been built. But that was the type of leadership. Even like right now, our leadership at Columbia Saving Along right now is an avant-garde type of leadership that is progressive, that is visionary, that is really trying to connect with the community to let the community know what that bank what they have in the community. And this is the sad story. A lot of black folks in this community don't even know that that's a black bank down on that corner.
They don't even know where it is.
Don't even know where it is. And it's because that it's been now quiet all these years, but now it's been on the radio. A lot more people, a lot more listeners. The number of listeners that we can reach.
What street is it on?
You know, yeah, right on the corner. Fond du Lac and
yeah, what corner?
Yeah, you can't miss it.
Fond du Lac and North.
Yeah.
We ride by it all the time.
All the time. I was here. I came to Milwaukee.
Go up 20th Street, you ride by Columbia.
Yeah, you can't
go
miss
down up and down Fond du Lac.
You ride by
Columbia.
Right over there. And then there used to be another bank across the street.
Go by North Avenue, you ride by Columbia.
Used to be another bank over there. They closed up.
Yeah.
You know, and they were trying to do something with that mall.
Yeah, that First Wisconsin was over there.
Yeah.
And then it was a black bank.
Black bank.
Yeah, my friend's mom used to
Legacy.
Yeah.
Legacy Bank was over there.
Yeah.
And it closed up.
Yeah,
nice bank, nice building.
Mom was one of the owners, leaders of that bank. We don't support. So.
Yeah. Yeah, because you know it seems to be we got the money, like I always say, and I will always say this is that black folks have money, but it's so disconnected.
But what was that amount with black folks in 53206?
Billions.
The spending power.
I think it's about if I'm wrong, if I'm correct, I think it was close to $6 billion.
No, not in 53206.
It's between it was 3 to 6, I believe.
Really?
Yeah. I could be wrong, but if my memory served me correctly, it was a lot of money.
But all the beauty hair places get
yeah. But you can look at
making money.
But
man.
you can look at the.
How come we don't own none of them, man?
But this is at one time we owned a lot. One time we owned a lot more of them.
Man, we owned a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
Here. When I was young, man, we owned businesses and homes. Now we don't own either because we don't work together, man, and that's sad.
Yeah.
And then we have so many things working against us too, and that's why I'm saying, man, we got to understand racism. It ain't about color; it's about economics.
Yeah, it's definitely.
You know, and the man with all the economics is making sure that poor folks fight each other over the crumbs, and why they blindly, you know, lead you to a dislike for one another. They running all the way to the bank, and laughing while they on their way, and we still sitting around here, you know, not liking somebody because of what color they are.
What color the skin is.
That's crazy, man.
You know, we're talking about
as handsome as you are, man. How somebody gonna not like you because you know?
You got that part right, boy. Let me tell you something, Louis. You know, man, when we talk about this stuff and it affects us, you know, I was looking at this yesterday, and they had the president of South Africa.
Oh,
he was in the White House, and how this cat, man. And that's the type of stuff that we, you know, here we got a president of another country.
And what is that's called division, man. Yeah. Divide and conquer.
Yeah. And but you know, but everything that our president was talking about when he was talking to this guy was a lie. It was a lie. See, people don't understand, man, that, you know, it was a lie.
Our president don't lie, dude.
Oh, man, that's all he does, man. Everything, really, and this is the reality of it.
He don't be lying, dude.
And then I'm looking at that thing, man. This is a long segment I had about Nate. I'm looking at that, and the guy was, you know,
man, I can't watch that.
Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, was very.
He was laughing at that dude, man.
Oh man, you know, he was very elegant in his comment, but Trump was talking, man, and just making up stuff and saying it was so arrogant, and it was so
he was treating them like
yeah, it was. And what Trump is, he's the type of dude he is, man. Really, man, this is serious.
Trump was treating that man like
yeah, right. But you know, he kept his cool. But I'm looking at Trump, and I know what he was doing to him. I'm looking at him, and then he's telling him, you know, this is what's happening in your country. He's over here, just like they tell you when you know you can't get the money.
These white folks everything you got,
and there's genocide and white farmers.
And you want your land back. What's wrong with y'all?
Well, I'm telling you, man. And so when we look at stuff like that, it's time for us
to come together.
Man. Because we're not, when the term that's a gaslighter. A gaslighter is a person that that live in a fictitious world in their own mind, own frame of reference, and they put it out there. And since they're gaslighter, they want you to go along with what they're creating.
I thought they call that dementia, Alzheimer's.
Whatever they call it. That's what it is. And so that's the type of stuff. So when you're talking about supporting a black bank, man, you're talking about bringing your resources together that you can go there and have access.
That's a sacrifice.
To get something that you need.
That's a sacrifice.
We have another caller. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller. You on the line?
Good day, fellas.
How you doing, brother?
This is Rick calling you long distance from Germany.
How you doing, Rick? What part of Germany are you in, Rick?
Wow.
Just 15 minutes outside of Munich.
Okay, I was in Germany in the 60s. I was in Bremerhaven.
You were in the military, or you were just?
I was a military brat. My dad was in the military.
Can't you tell by his German accent?
Sergeant Fuller.
Okay, I just want to say that South Africa is on the map and in the news, but they have not shed blood of white people the way Trump has laid it out.
Exactly.
But there is coming on the horizon a strongman leader who will offer the people revenge for the way that South Africa has been managed the last 100 years. Black people are on the bottom in South Africa regarding housing, education, health care, and regarding the mining. The miners are still on the bottom of that industry.
That sounds like America.
I think black banks there in America need to come forward with advertising, because black Americans have money that they waste, and we could really use more black banks there in America.
Right.
Yep.
I'm done, fellas.
Right.
Okay, thank you,
That's
caller.
absolutely correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, we could do better. Man, we could do better,
man.
man. We sure could, man. But we just got to start thinking, man. We got to start out thinking these people who want to keep us at bay,
subjugated, man.
Want to keep you out of the resources.
And see, and I always say black folks got money. Well, that's got to be the case, because when you ride through the neighborhood, man, you see all of these businesses that are open, that you see a business in an area that if you go down 12th Street, and just before you get to 12th and Walnut, there's a little store just before you get to that apostolic, big nice apostolic church there. There's a little place that's open, and it looked like it shouldn't be able to stay in business.
Right.
But the ones that's keeping it open are the people that's in the neighborhood that have money.
Right.
Even they get them checks on the first of the month or whatever, man. And that's all over the city. So then this conversation about black folks not having money, that's a misnomer, man. That's a non-truth. That is a lie that's put out there to mess with your mind, to keep you thinking that you don't have anything. You don't have money, you don't have worth, you don't have anything to support you as a productive human being, but at the same time,
you're worthless.
Yeah, you can set up a business in your area, and they can get rich off of the money that you bringing into the area.
Man, you can set up a business with $189.
Yeah, but it's just like over here, they got now. There's a food store in this area, Galt's, right across the street there. People that go in but people that go in and shop at that store, a lot of those folks are from down south, and they carry the type of stuff. People know what you like, know what you eat, know what type of food to get in there, what type of meat to get in there. Not that it's the best meat, and it's not. It's not the best, It's not a good store.
But if you don't have any transportation,
yeah, but Pastor, watch this. That's an excuse.
yeah,
Because you know what? In the 50s, when they boycotted those buses,
because it's
they didn't
stores you
have
can
any.
go to,
Yeah,
right,
man, you can get some, and you can get a ride.
right.
It was harder then in the 50s to get them to move around, to let folks in Montgomery know that, hey, you're not gonna treat me like that.
But we last because we don't organize, Pastor. We don't-
You know,
we don't-
that's gonna have some
what
truth to it.
Malcolm said, man, we ain't outnumbered. We out organized.
An organization make a big
Man,
deal.
we out organized.
Well, that's how we did when Sold to the Polls, man, was got those folks to the in this city to
Man,
get the people to
You
go to
know-
the polls and vote.
you know,
Governor, Supreme Court Justice, he wouldn't be there, man, if we hadn't been out there
Sure
on the front
wouldn't.
line. Matter
sure
of fact,
wouldn't.
the thing that I was when that night, did we have a caller?
No,
Break. Okay. That night that it's break now? Okay. Go ahead. All right.
yeah, bro.
When Once again, listeners, we're back. I'm Pastor Mose Fuller of St. Timothy Baptist Church, also a board member of Columbia Savings and Loan Association, sitting in today for Attorney Core Players on Money Talks. So we are going to continue the conversation. My guest, Pastor Lewis, he had to step out and go to another meeting. So for the next few moments, I'm going to be here with you, and we're just going to continue to echo the continuous and astronomical vision that Wilbur Halyard and Artie Halyard had or possessed when they decided to open up Columbia Savings and Loan Bank in the city of Milwaukee that didn't have any real banking institutions in the city that was concerned about the black population that was migrating to Milwaukee, to the state of Wisconsin in the 20s. And so I believe that they came from the South and sailed up north and got to Milwaukee and decided that they was going to do something about it. And one of the things that they did, as we say, they organized and founded Columbia Savings and Loan Association, which is located right on the corner of 20th and Fond du Lac. And that bank has been around for 100 years, going on 101 years. That long, the longest, the only listeners, the only black bank in the state of Wisconsin, the only black bank in the city of Milwaukee. And I always say, and with a very humble heart, and as a pastor and minister in this community and a servant of God in this community, that truly love people, especially black folks, who are mostly that I pastor at St. Timothy Baptist Church, that it is a bank that has the heart of the community. The community needs that bank. And some people that will never be able to access capital or buy a home or get a mortgage anyplace else. And I know that's the way it was in the past. And when St. Timothy got their mortgage back in the 90s, I know for a fact, because we had been out in the community. Our church was organized in 93, and we decided we was able to purchase a building in 1995, and I knew another pastor that had a relationship with Columbia Savings and Loan, and that is really how I found out about that bank, because I had our banking account was at another institution, and so we really didn't know about Columbia Savings and Loan. But through this other pastor, we learned about Columbia Savings and Loan. I said, "Well, dog, man, you got your mortgage there. We can get our mortgage there." And the Lord worked it out so that it was a blessing with him. He moved into another church, and we didn't have a church, so we was able to Columbia Savings and Loan was able to finance St. Timothy, do the mortgage for St. Timothy, and at the same time do the mortgage for the other pastors that was leaving the building that we bought to another place. And so that was a God sin. God had his hands in it. And that's how I learned about Columbia Savings and Loan. And I've been affiliated. We have a caller. I've been affiliated with Columbia Savings and Loan since 1995, and it has been a good relationship. It has been a productive and progressive relationship for our bank, for me, and my home. I have the mortgage for my home is through Columbia Savings and Loan. So that's why I admonish. That's why I always say that every black person in this community should have some of their money at that bank. That just makes sense. It just makes sense You don't have to have all your money there, but if you got any money that you want to put in an institution that's going to help the community that hasn't always had access to capital, then Columbia Savings and Loan is a place. And we used to have more than just one bank. There was other banks in this community that went out of business for whatever reason. They're not here now. Matter of fact, in this country, they used to have a lot more black banks. I think all in the whole country now, I think there's, I have to look at the numbers and recheck the numbers. I think there might be now, today, less than 20 black banks in the whole United States. Less than 20 black banks. There used to be a lot more of them. And I know for a fact in the city of Milwaukee, when it comes to the black community in Milwaukee, not only do they have the resources and the finances to support and make continue to help grow and increase Columbia Savings and Loan financially, and to be able to be the bank that can really be a blessing to the black community and the city of Milwaukee. We have the resources, we have the funds, we have the money to make that happen. So I would say that, go down there right on the corner of 20th and Fowler Light. And if you don't have an account there, consider it, think about it, and go down there and find out how you can become a part of the institution. I'm telling you right now, I've been a part of it since 1995. You're not going to be disappointed. You're not going to. You will be blessed. And then it'll be a place. You'll be banking with a place where you can, amen, know that you know the people that's there. Listen, I'm Pastor Mose Full. I've been sitting in for Attorney Core Players. Our time is up. And so God bless. We'll see you next week.